Welcome to Thiccc Boy Fight News. Let's dive in. UFC bantamweight Cory Sandhagen visited Thiccc Boy Studio and gave his thoughts on current UFC events, including Max Holloway vs. Arnold Allen, Israel Adesanya knocking out Alex Pereira, Jorge Masvidal's retirement, Stipe Miocic vs. Jon Jones, and what it was like to train with Brendan Schaub.
Yeah, Holloway and Arnold, I got Holloway winning that one. I think he's way more experienced, way more just well-rounded, and yeah, I got Holloway in that one. I won't be super long-winded with the answer to my feelings about Israel versus Pereira. All I can say is I think that that's one of the greatest UFC stories of all time. I think that Israel was able to shock the entire world. The way that he won was incredible. Playing a rope-a-dope against the cage, then knocking him out was amazing. One, it was on a huge platform. There was like 1 million celebrities at that fight, which just makes things even bigger. So absolutely inspiring and phenomenal performance by Israel, and one of the greatest UFC stories that there's ever been. Masvidal was one of those guys that almost got me into fighting. Like, I remember watching just World Star Hip Hop, watching people fight each other in their backyards, and like going down that YouTube wormhole. And it was like that type of fighting that actually got me pretty interested in martial arts a little bit. So all the respect in the world to Masvidal. I see that guy as just an incredibly gifted martial artist who has been around for a long time, proven his worth time and time again, and congrats on the retirement. I don't know if Stipe and Jon Jones will ever fight each other. I suppose I'm definitely going to put my money on Jon Jones for that one, of course, because, you know, he made Gon look like Gon didn't even belong in there with him. So yeah, I got Jones winning that one, I guess, whenever it happens, which I anticipate will be the next heavyweight championship fight. I don't know that I have any funny stories about Brendan, but I will say that that grudge environment was a pretty intense one. Because we would spar really hard, and I do remember that bathroom before Tuesday and Saturday morning sparrings was always filled with a bunch of dudes taking shits in there, and it was really hard to get some time in there, and if you did, you definitely didn't want to be in there. So that's kind of what I remember from the training at Grudge with Brendan days, is just how horrible that bathroom always smelled and how it was always being used.
After defeating Jorge Masvidal at UFC 287, welterweight Gilbert Burns finds himself in the middle of title shot discussions. Burns looks to be next in line after Colby Covington for a shot at champion Leon Edwards. In a recent interview with MMA Junkie, Burns said he actually hopes to end up fighting Covington for the title. I just like his competitiveness. For sure, the way he talks, I think it's going to bring a lot of eyes to the fight. But he has good pace. The guy don't stop coming. I think we're gonna wrestle, we're gonna grapple, we're gonna strike. It's going to be fun to be in that fight. Colby's going to be fun the whole way. Press conference, face off, the build up to the fight. You know he's talking shit about Brazil, the whole thing. I just like the whole idea. That's what it's going to be. A great fight, and I'm looking forward to this fight. Earlier this week, it was announced that Nate Diaz would be Jake Paul's next boxing opponent. Although the bout won't take place until August 5th, many in the media have already voiced their thoughts, including Daniel Cormier. On his YouTube channel, Cormier shared his concerns over Paul's size and youth. Nate doesn't get tired, so if Nate's gonna have an opportunity to win this fight, Nate has gotta set a high pace early, and he has gotta keep that pace going the entirety of the fight. And he has got to stay away from the right hand. Am I comfortable making a prediction on this fight? I don't know. But if I'm having to guess, seeing them both recently, I feel like the bigger, younger guy is generally who you would go with. And the bigger, younger, fresher guy is Paul. Paul has not been through the wars with Conor McGregor. Paul has not been through the wars of being in UFC championship fights with the best fighters in the world. He's fresh. His toughest fight was against Tommy Fury, and he's bigger. That is what I think may ultimately be one of the biggest issues that my boy Nate has to deal with when it comes to that fight. But if anyone can upset the apple cart, it's Nate Diaz. Looking for more original MMA content? Head over to Thiccc Boy YouTube for weekly MMA opinion, analysis, and exclusive interviews. Subscribe today.